what are the gems? What did you learn from having that period where she got to, go from one diet to the other and experiment back and forth and see contrasts and take in information? What are some of the top gems that you've learned and experienced on your path? I'm so curious. Okay, let's take a breath together. Okay. Hi everyone, this is Tina, and I'm sharing with Lissa's heart song from Raw Food Romance.
Thank you so much for having me on here to share with everybody. It's such a blessing.
Yeah, this is an honor for me to be talking with you and interviewing you.
Aww.
I'm learning from her and with her, so we're learning together this week, and we decided to trade stories. And I'm so curious about your experience. I know you've had many years journeying on your health path and your raw food path and your vegan path, and something that maybe people don't know yet, or maybe they do if they followed you, is that you had many years where you were experimenting between, or some people would say yo-yo or flip-flop or whatever you want to say, but going from one diet that feels really healthy, like the raw vegan diet, and then going back to the other diet, and then coming to this diet and coming to the other diet. And then finally you had a point where you decided that you wanted to go on a raw vegan path, right?
Yeah, and I made the commitment.
You made the commitment.
And that whole flip-flop yo-yo thing happened from 2004 to 2014. So it was about a decade.
Yeah.
Where I would, I always resonated with the raw vegan diet. It made so much sense, and my whole being was like, do it.
Yeah.
But, we live in this world where we are addicted to foods. We grew up with certain foods. It's cultural, it's traditional, it's convenient, it's easy, it's cheap, it's all this stuff, right? So it was really hard for me to stay raw in those 10 years. And I think I tried to do raw 100 times or more.
But what I'm learning is that these kind of struggles or challenges are actually gems. And they're huge learning experiences. And maybe someone who's gone from cooked and went straight to raw, either for a short period of time they're still there, or a long period of time but have never had that experience of going back to cooked. They haven't had that kind of experience. So I'm curious, if we're going to compare those two types of experiences, what are the gems? What did you learn from having that period where she got to go from one diet to the other and experiment back and forth and see contrasts and take in information? What are some of the top gems that you've learned and experienced on your path? I'm so curious.
Well, first of all, I would have to say during those 10 years, this isn't even part of it, but I just wanted to throw it in there. But I didn't have the vegan ethical connection in those 10 years. So that was something that I realized after I actually committed to raw, was the exact same moment that I committed to veganism.
Okay.
And I never had that connection. So flip-flopping back and forth was fairly easy because it was like, I'll just eat this and then I'll just eat that. And then I'll try to do raw, and then cravings come in and I'll just eat chicken and whatever packaged foods and stuff. So I didn't have that vegan connection. It wasn't until 2014 where it was like, it clicked, and I was like, I guess I'm vegan. Now I don't there was no going back for me.
The matrix pill had worked.
Yep. So at that point, that was where I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be raw, because that's the only diet that I had resonated with that I knew was vegan. I thought vegans ate raw food. That was my thing. I was like, oh, don't all vegans eat raw food? I didn't really know.
I think we all eat raw food sometimes.
Sometimes.
We have salads and smoothies and juices.
Yeah, so I thought that was the default. They ate high raw, a little bit of cooked and stuff. But I didn't think that there was this whole realm of the processed foods and all that. I said, I didn't really know. So those 10 years that I was trying raw, it was just because I resonated with the actual raw veganism, not the veganism, but the actual raw food part. So in those 10 years, going back and forth, over 100 times, I really got to learn what my trigger foods were.
Mm.
So the foods that I would allow back here and there that would trigger me to fall off and just eat like a myriad of junk, like I would just like go into. And I feel like for myself, definitely potatoes are a hardcore heavy trigger food. Like right now, and for the last 5.5 years, I haven't eaten potatoes. And I know that if I ate one, that would be pretty much all I'd ever want to eat. Right now, I don't want one. I don't have any cravings for it. I don't care for them. They don't pop into my head. They're not something I think about. But if I ate one, that would be all I think about. So I feel like that's like,
so it shifts
it's
your
an addiction.
consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like it switches your mind's focus on what you're looking at.
Yeah, and I had to go through that to really discover what those foods were for myself.
Yeah.
Like some people don't even really know what their trigger foods are unless they experiment going back and forth and saying like, what is it that triggers me, or what is it that makes me fall off, or what is it that
trigger you to do what? Trigger
to just
you
eat like to like give up my like my choices of raw vegan. Like if I ate a
also
potato,
means like you said, health and happiness.
yeah,
and
health and
self-love.
happiness and self-love and everything. Like if I ate a potato, that's all I'm going to want to eat. And then I'm not going to be eating the salads. I'm not going to be doing the smoothies. I'm going to want to have leftover potatoes in the morning. Because I know myself. I've done this already.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced it in those 10 years. I'll be like, oh, it's okay. I can have one little potato in my salad. Yeah. And as soon as I do that, it's the next day it's 4 potatoes. And then the next day there's no salad. And then all of a sudden it's oil with nutritional yeast and salt and seasonings. And all it is potatoes. And that's all I want to eat. And then it goes in further, and then it's French fries and potato chips and like junk. Mm-hmm. So I know that I can't put one in my salad. And that leads me into the second point, which is complete abstinence is easier than perfect moderation for myself. And that's what I had to discover over those 10 years. Mm. I had to learn that I needed to be completely abstinent from my trigger foods. And I couldn't practice perfect moderation. Yeah. Because what is perfect moderation? It doesn't exist. There's no term as to what is perfectly moderate. Because it's all subjective.
And if it's a trigger for you to want more, it's almost like if you had a cigarette or something and then you were like, okay, I'm just going to have one puff every day. And that actually sometimes awakens a huge desire and attachment to that thing. Mm-hmm. It's not that the potato is good or bad. It's just knowing oneself and finding what those triggers are that make someone lose sight of their higher self and goals, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I like what you said. It isn't good or bad. Because a potato isn't bad. Yeah. It's what your connection is with it and what it's doing with you. And for me, like rice, for example, I could care less if I ever ate rice again. Like I could probably eat a whole bowl of rice, or try to anyway. But like for me, rice was never a thing. Yeah. I just don't eat it because I don't want it. Yeah. It's just like for me, it's become a choose, not a choice. And that leads us into the third one, which is that I don't have to live in the label of raw veganism. I have a choice. So a lot of people who are new, who come to a raw vegan diet, they have like raw vegan diet on this like really high pedestal, and they're like, oh, raw, right? They want to be super perfect. The problem with trying to be super perfect is that if you don't reach that perfection, it's like, oh, I suck. Might as well not even try.
Yeah, like their whole self-esteem drops. Yeah. Or their whole sense of happiness is attached just to that thing.
Yeah, and you become like, it's like your identity is like wrapped and morphed into raw vegan. So like if you go and meet someone, you're like, hi, I'm Lissa, I'm a raw vegan, right? It's like, that's who they are. But there's so much more than that. Yeah. They're intelligent and wonderful and caring and compassionate and all the creative
passions.
Yeah, exactly. You're so much more than what you eat. But I learned through that time that I didn't have to live in that label, that I could just choose those foods. So to see what that looks like in my life is that I tell myself, like, I don't want to live in that label. I don't want to be identified by it. So I can eat whatever I want.
Which
in my
creates
mind,
freedom,
it creates freedom because I'm like, I could go to the store and eat chicken. I don't want to. So it becomes my choice. I'm in control of what goes into my body. I could go to the store right now and go buy some Doritos and eat them, but I don't want to. It's my choice.
And it's not just like a mental control. It sounds like it's also like a mental control in symbiosis with the body. Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah, because I'm more in tune with it and I don't have those cravings. And I know if I do, I mean, cravings never go away. Let's be honest, right? Like cravings
it
never
sounds
go
like
away.
they subsided for you
Yeah.
after.
That's the thing. We
releasing them.
learn how to control them. Not necessarily control them, but like they do go away in a sense, but they never completely go away. Because if I go too long without eating, if I skip a meal, if I don't eat, if I'm under a lot of stress, if I'm super tired,
they'll come out of
lonely,
nowhere.
though that's when they come,
Mhm.
and you can't like prevent all of it, right? But you can learn how to deal with those cravings by eating enough, making sure you plan your meals, like looking for that certain reward cycle where you're rewarded with like self-pride, like you're happy with your choice, you feel good, you're hydrated, you're nourished and everything. That's the reward that we should be getting from our food. Like we should be like, I feel healthy from what I ate instead of feeling numb from the chips or whatever, right? So yeah, not living in the label was something that I learned, and I'm glad I learned it because it's freed me up to be raw for 5 years because it's my choice. I choose it. The food doesn't choose it for me.
And you feel well and happy.
Oh my
and
gosh,
vibrant.
she was so happy. Yeah.
Look at her.
Thanks, darling.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, those are great tips. And I feel like they're going to be really helpful for people on the way. And if you ever want any recipes and to add in more of this beautiful, luscious, yummy raw foods, she is a fresh gourmet chef.
Fresh gourmet.
Yes, and she has amazing books. So I'm going to give some of her links down below in the description. And check out Lissa's work. And I'm so grateful you came and listened. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.